Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying your bank holiday Monday, because I know up in Scotland it's not a bank holiday Monday, but if you're anywhere away from Scotland, I hope you're enjoying your bank holiday Monday. This video is just going to have a quick look at the methodology for the winter forecast. We're going to have a look at all the things that are going to be going into winter forecast and the updates that are going to be taking place at Gasworks as we move through the autumn. As you know, the updates will be starting. Very, very exciting times. The updates for the winter of 2015-2016 will be starting on Sunday the 6th of September. So it's all getting very, very close now. But I just wanted to leave this one on the home page for you for the next few days. As you know, I'm going away today, Monday through to Friday. Just wanted to leave this on the home page so that you can familiarise yourself with the methodology, what we're going to be looking at through the autumn, and what will eventually go into the winter forecast. There's already a video here on the homepage, the historic video. That's just underneath this one, underneath the link articles on the homepage here. So that's for 84-85. If you want to see what happened in winter of 84-85, do check that out. A very interesting historic video. And I'll get on with this one in a sec. But I'm just going to say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages at gasworks.com. Have a browse, widgets, any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go and read the article. And thanks very much for doing that. There's video ads on most of the pages. They open out in the content. And then when you've watched them, they'll open up again. It's all helping to pay for the website. So thanks so much for getting involved. And thanks for doing that. So let's have a look at all the different things that go into winter forecast. We're going to start off with what we've already got. We've already got the NAO forecast. We did it at the start of June, and it's on the website. Here it is. This is the page. Winter 2015-2016 forecast and updates United Kingdom and Europe. Reason that's there is because I've got another page for America. And if we scroll down a little bit, this is the NAO forecast that we did. I think it was on the 7th of June. And at recent count, this had over 7,000 views already. So it's been a phenomenal response. We've got something like 21 likes and over 7,000 views for this one. So has been an incredible response, and if you want to familiarise yourself with what the NAO forecast was showing, you can get to it via the links here on the home page. Just have a look through the link buttons that are underneath all the videos, and you'll be able to go off and see this again if you want to. But we've already got this in the can, if you like, the NAO forecast, and that sort of makes up the very beginning, if you like, basis from where we started off. That's like the starting off point. Base camp is the way I'd like to describe it. This is the sea surface temperature anomalies, one of the charts that it was based on back in May. We look at the sea surface temperature anomalies in May and then created an NAO forecast for the coming winter. So we've done all that, and it's there on the website. You can familiarise yourself with that at any time you like. So that's going to be the base point to start off with. But of course, we're going to be looking through the autumn at how the sea surface temperature anomalies across the world are evolving, particularly and specifically interested in the Pacific and the Atlantic. Two very interesting areas, of course. You know, we've been doing the El Nino updates throughout the year. El Nino is established. It's going to be declared, I think, in September. There it is. It's that warm, bright red temperature anomaly, warm temperature anomaly across the equatorial Pacific. We'll be looking at that through the course of the autumn, specifically interested in whether it comes Modoki or Modaiki, which is central-based El Nino, with sort of cooler temperatures over here on the Peruvian side. We're also going to be looking at, I'll get rid of that, because we're also going to be looking at this part of the Pacific Ocean as well, the northern quadrant. Going to see what the PDO is doing. It's very warm in that part of the Pacific Ocean. Again, this will be the third winter that has been warm in that part of the northern Pacific Ocean. Normally a very cold place, so pretty bizarre how this is just going on and on and on. It's probably going to be the last year that we have to put up with this, but it is there anyway. But we've got those warm temperature anomalies again up there in the northern and the northeastern part of the Pacific Ocean. We'll be seeing how those evolve through the course of the autumn. And of course, also interestingly, we've got this very deep cold pool in the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean. That's had a big impact on the summer. I think it will have an impact on the autumn. I've done the autumn forecast, did it yesterday. You can see that on the autumn forecast page. You don't get to do that via the buttons here on the home page. We'll be seeing how that cold pool continues to evolve through the course of the autumn. Will it sort of weaken and start to move back towards the warmer Atlantic? Will it get even colder? It may do. And of course, we've got to look at what the implications of a cold Atlantic is for us, because it's been a very long time since we've had such a cold Atlantic Ocean. We have to go back to the early 1990s and the 1980s. So we'll be looking at this through the autumn. When we're doing the winter updates, we'll definitely be focusing at least on one of the videos specifically on what's happening in the Atlantic, and looking back at some past years that had that kind of depth of cold in the northern Atlantic through into the winter, and see what the implications of that could be. Now, but obviously we're going to be looking at solar activity. So this is the solar disk on our side of the disk today from solarham.net, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. We're interested in sunspots, so we'll be having a look to what the sunspots are doing through the course of the autumn. There is a cluster of sunspots there. We've got another can't make it out. We've got another one just there as well. Going to see how active or inactive the sun becomes. We are going down into solar minimum now. We aren't yet into solar minimum, but we are going down in towards solar minimum. So we'll be looking at this graph, this chart from NASA. We'll be looking at similar charts like that from my good friend James Acril. I'm sure he makes up some lovely charts for us. So we'll be seeing what solar activity is doing through the course of the autumn. It may spike up again. It won't go back up to this sort of zone just here, which is solar maximum. Won't go back up to there, but we may get a spike up to here through the course of winter. Conversely, we could continue to drop down with the activity, and we may go down to somewhere like there. So we're just going to have to wait and see how that pans out, but we will be looking very, very closely at solar activity through the course of the autumn. The idea, of course, that the weaker solar activity is, the greater chance of northern blocking. Also going to have a look at the Atlantic hurricane season. We'll be monitoring that through the course of the autumn. In terms of these winter updates, the reason we look at this is because hurricanes are dumping a lot of heat out of the tropics into the poles, and that can translate later on into northern blocking. We have hardly had any hurricanes yet. I think we just had one. But things could be starting to ramp up a little bit now, actually, in the tropical Atlantic. So we will be keeping a close eye on that through the season. We're looking at the QBO. We are going into a westerly QBO, so we're going to be sort of transitioning out of easterly and into westerly in terms of the quasi-biennial oscillation. I'm talking much more about this in future updates, but the idea of this is that really it's an indication of the strength of the zone of westerlies in the northern hemisphere. When we're in a westerly QBO, you're strengthening the westerlies. When you're in an easterly, you're weakening the westerlies. So in theory, a westerly QBO should favour a milder winter, but it's nowhere near as simple as that, and I'll be talking much more about that through the course of the autumn. We'll be having a look at Arctic sea ice and how quickly Siberian snow cover advances. This one very important, particularly the Siberian snow cover. So this is the latest image from the National Sea Ice Centre, and so far there's hardly any snow at all across the Siberian plain, but as we go through the autumn, particularly into October, all of this that is currently green, all of this will become covered by snow as the snow advances across Siberia. And how quickly that happens is one of the things we look at, not the only thing, but it's one of the things that we look at in terms of creating the winter forecast. So eventually all of that Siberian plain will be covered by snow, and we'll be monitoring how quickly that's happening. Of course, also going to look at how quickly the sea ice starts to come back from the melt season, and particularly what kind of melt season we have. Having a big melt season at the moment, I can tell you that. So that's all the Arctic sea ice that's left. More is going to go over the next couple of weeks, and it'll be interesting to see how much of that goes. We will be monitoring it via this graph. The black line here is the current melt season. You can see that we are well down, not as far down as this line here, 2012, but we are having quite a big melt season this year. It could get even worse, so we'll be monitoring all of that, particularly in the first couple of videos that we do in early September. But Arctic sea ice melting, if you get a big melt season, that could be one of the pointers towards northern blocking in the winter, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. Also going to see how the weather itself, how it evolves as we go through the course of the autumn. So I'll be keeping an eye on the weather patterns. This is a chart from October the 9th, 1995, and there is a fairly, if you get a warm, dry October, it can later on perhaps translate to a colder winter. Very controversial that, but we will be keeping an eye on how the weather patterns are evolving through the course of the autumn. And of course we'll be having a look at the seasonal models as well. I've already had a sneak peek at the seasonal models on the blog, so if you want to have a read about what they're currently showing, these long range models, do check out the blog and see what it shows. But this is the latest CFS V from the CFS V2 for the winter, and we will be having a look throughout the autumn at this. We'll do one update in September, another update in October, and the final seasonal model update in November to see how the models are evolving through the course of the autumn. And it's all building up. It's going to build and build and build until we reach that winter forecast, which will probably be released. I think it'll probably be on the 1st of December. It could be the 31st, the 30th of November, or the 1st of December. I'm not quite sure which of the 2 days it'll be, but it'll be one of those 2 days. Anyway, more than likely the 1st of December. Now, next week's first update is going to start where we left off last year with the OPI. I'm sure you remember a lot about the OPI, the October Pattern Index. It was very controversial, but it was one of the big talking points of last year's season. And we'll be discussing that next week. There's a few things I want to say about the OPI, the October Pattern Index. Don't want to go into too much detail about it now, but it will be we will be discussing this as we go through into next week's update, the first update. It didn't perform terribly well this last year, the OPI, and I'm not sure whether we will be hearing about it really through this sort. We'll be very interested to see whether the folks in Italy that sort of produced this will bring it back this season. But I'll say more about it next week. So that's it. That's all of the methodology that we use to create the winter forecast. It'll all be kicking off on Sunday, the 6th of September. So do please come back for that. And check out the historic video, which is just underneath this one, for 84-85, if you would like to do that. As I say, I'm taking a few days off now, so there won't be any more video updates. I'm hoping to keep the written part of the homepage updated at least a couple of times this week, but there won't be any videos coming up between now and at the end of the week. But at the weekend, on Sunday, well, Saturday for the weekend forecast, on Sunday, things will start kicking off again for another winter. So please come back for that. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.